Five, four, three, two, one, zero. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
You know, contrary to a lot of expectations, I enjoy my work in the Senate a good deal. The last few years have been particularly productive as I was able to help lead and negotiate the bipartisan infrastructure law, a comprehensive China strategy process, religious liberty protections, a compromised gun safety law, the Electoral Count Act reform, and emergency COVID relief funding. I was also able to help secure key Utah priorities, including funding for Hill Air Force Base and its program to modernize our nuclear deterrent, as well as funding for wildfire prevention, water infrastructure, rural broadband, removal of uranium tailings from Moab, expansion and restoration of our highway and transit infrastructure, and federal studies to save the Great Salt Lake. I've spent my last 25 years in public service of one kind or another. At the end of another term, I'd be in my mid-80s. Frankly, it's time for a new generation of leaders. They're the ones that need to make the decisions that will shape the world they will be living in. Now, we face critical challenges: mounting national debt, climate change, and the ambitious authoritarians of Russia and China. Neither President Biden nor former President Trump are leading their party to confront those issues. On deficits and debt, both men refuse to address entitlements, even though they know that this represents 2/3 of federal spending. Donald Trump calls global warming a hoax, and President Biden offers feel-good solutions that make no difference to the global climate. On China, President Biden underinvests in the military, and President Trump underinvests in our alliances. Political motivations too often impede the solutions that these challenges demand. The next generation of leaders must take America to the next stage of global leadership. While I'm not running for re-election, I'm not retiring from the fight. I'll be your United States Senator until January of 2025. I will keep working on these and other issues, and I'll advance our state's numerous priorities. I look forward to working with you and with folks across our state and nation in that endeavor. It really is a profound honor to serve Utah and the country, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to do so.
Ladies and gentlemen, one down. We thought we had a couple down with Feinstein and Pelosi, but they decided to make a comeback. But Mr. Mitt Romney, the old man, the old Moore man from Utah. Actually, I think this is his granddad actually moved his sect of the Mormons down to Mexico, and then they're currently like in a battle down there with the drug cartels in Mexico. But nevertheless, that's one geezer you've seen gracing your television screen, running for office for decades. One geezer down, and we got many more to go. And I'm talking about you, McConnell. Talking about you, Lindsey Graham, Joe Biden. You know, all you old geezers, the Bush Republicans. You got all the super left wing Democrats in there, the Bernie Sanders. They all got to go too. Let's get some young, fresh, corrupted blood in there. We don't like that old corrupted blood. That is actually going to be something I'm going to be digging into in today's show here on Live with Andy. I'm your host, Andy DeBala, coming at you from Lubbock, West Texas. We've actually had a couple of rainy days here in Lubbock, West Texas, and I do apologize for the delay in my broadcast today, this evening. I was supposed to be on at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I believe I'm stepping on John O'Loughlin toes, aka McDuff, a little bit, but I couldn't help myself. I'm actually, we're selling the house right now, and we had a showing today. That went pretty well. And right when we got back, I had about half hour to get ready for the show. I get all my setup ready because I had to put it out in the closet during the showing. I brought it out, got my setup ready, and I was ready about to hit go live for Live with Andy, and I got another showing request and it was like 15 minutes from now. So it's like, I guess I got to go ahead and do that if I'm trying to sell the house. So I do apologize for being an hour late. Please forgive me, and I do appreciate you joining me on this episode on this Wednesday night. What is it? September 13th. But yeah, Mitt Romney's getting old. All these geezers need to get out of Washington D.C. I've said it before. We can't have the White House be a nursing home. We got to get rid of these old people. No offense to old people. I have a lot of respect for you. You have a lot of intelligence. You've taught me a lot throughout the years. I hang out with you guys all the time, but I don't want you running the country. I'm sorry. Just like Mitt Romney said, leave it up to the people that are going to be living in it to run the country at this point in time. But anti-aging is going to be something I'm going to be digging into on this episode. As you guys know, I do a lot of research into DARPA and synthetic biology. And I stumbled upon a little research yesterday involving DARPA and this Maxwell Biosciences, and they're developing this new technology, this new synthetic technology, this LL37 peptide they discovered in some anti-aging experiments, and apparently this peptide can help keep the body youthful, and it helps keeps the immune system youthful as well, and it's able to fight off funguses, bacteria, viruses, the whole gambit. So I think this synthetic peptide, the LL37 actually dies off in the human immune system quite rapidly, so they had to make a synthetic version that lasts a little bit longer. And I think this synthetic peptide is going to be the vaccine of the future. We've spoken about the universal vaccine. That is the main goal of this LL37 drug. But before I get into that, I did make a little video today on Michael Callahan and Robert Malone, and we've done a lot of work into these two, Dr. Robert Malone and Dr. Michael Callahan, and their friendship and and how they've worked together now and in the past. And we've dug into Dr. Malone's history with famotidine and domain, and how he got the virus samples shipped to him from China, from Wuhan, to put it in this domain system, and it spit out remdesivir, famotidine as therapeutics for coronavirus. And and he ended up getting the samples from Dr. Michael Callahan. Now, Dr. Michael Callahan has had I've done a lot of research into him on my past shows. I've actually showcased a lot of work I've done and done a lot of digging into Michael Callahan, and he's been like the head of DARPA at one point. He was head of like the synthetic biology department. He had this program, Prophecy, that was in charge of making accelerated pharmaceuticals and therapeutics for different diseases. And it was a little odd to have this man all over the scene in Wuhan, collecting SARS samples, working with the Chinese team, all undercover beneath the Chinese government and the U.S. government nose, and he was cooperating with Dr. Robert Malone here. So I think I'm done rambling on the setup of this video. Sorry, I'm a little like scrambled right now. I usually do a lot of prep, and I'm really focused right before the show, so I kind of know what I'm talking about. I am there. But yeah, just driving around doing these showings all day long kind of has me off the bandwagon a little bit. So bear with me here. Here's the video. You can find it on my Twitter at LivewithAndy. That's at LivewithAndy. You can find this video
that I've co-published with in the past, named Michael Callahan. He was in Wuhan in the fourth quarter of 2019. He called me from Wuhan on January 4th, and he told me, Robert, you got to get your team spun up because we got a problem with this new virus. Worked with him through prior outbreaks.
So Michael Callahan was a DARPA program manager, a good friend of mine who joined the agency the same time I did.
And between 2005 to 2012, he established Prophecy, which is the first rapid deployment clinical research capability for catastrophic infectious disease outbreaks in the world. And his work did include significant work in relation to Ebola. He has served as a special advisor to various presidents, secretaries of defense and health and human services, and also to the office of the commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration. Dr. Callahan has himself deployed to 7 mass casualty disease outbreaks.
I have a history of making accelerated vaccines under the emergency health response capacities of the U.S. government.
The next demonstration project was to do the same thing, but with a virus of the future. It was an inbound virus. It hadn't appeared yet, but it was inevitable. So in this case, we just adapted it to the trend of viral evolution and produced for the first time a vaccine before that pathogen had even emerged. It was developed by an agency in the U.S. Department of Defense called DARPA, known better for inventing the internet, but also responsible for Moderna, an mRNA company.
I like how he acts like, oh, it was invented by this agency called DARPA, and it's like, yeah, you were like head of the like synthetic biology department, buddy. Wasn't just this department. You were running the show. You were bossing around, telling them what to do, what to make.
Company that's done quite well. Prophecy realized that you need genetic intelligence and you need clinical intelligence in order to give yourself time to develop emergency vaccines. That gave rise to 3 follow-on programs, both inside the U.S. government and by NGOs like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Medicine's Own Frontier, and the Wellcome Trust.
The first ever conflict of interest I've ever had as an ex-Fed. I do venture capital in China. I sit on the Singapore National Academy of Science.
So there you have Dr. Michael Callahan, and he had some big names there at the end. Him cooperating. He was head of DARPA, but they were cooperating with the Wellcome Trust. He was cooperating with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He had some conflicts of interest in China and Taiwan, and he's just, his fingerprints are all over the coronavirus and the mRNA vaccine. Like while he was at DARPA, like he mentioned there that like DARPA would like help fund mRNA and Moderna, which is true. And while he's at DARPA, they're in the process of developing mRNA, and they're making contracts with outside companies and giving grants and giving millions and millions of dollars to develop this technology. And that's something that Michael Callahan was in charge of. So that's why we dig into him so much, his relationship with Dr. Malone. We try to put a spotlight on that because Malone tries to escape like any wrongdoing during the pandemic. And it's like, you were buddies with like the deep state's number one coronavirus man, and he was contacting you about the coronavirus from China. So don't be trying to run and hide now, especially when you mention on the world's number one podcast, Joe Rogan. So just wanted to highlight that real quick before I dig into this synthetic immune system. a collaboration between this Maxwell Biosciences and everyone's favorite DARPA. So I wanted to play that Michael Callahan clip before the show and kind of highlight some of the things he'd been working on. Him mentioning the DARPA and Moderna and all the development of the coronaviruses and this program Prophecy within DARPA and the mRNA vaccine. He was ahead of the game by like a decade and a half, and those were his projects. And this is something that is starting to come on the forefront because it is entering human trials here in Q1 of 2024. And if you think mRNA tinkered with your DNA, this stuff will definitely be tinkering it with it too, because it has some anti-aging effects, and it makes you have a healthy immune system. So this is the goal, to create a fully synthetic immune system for us humans, and so we can live a longer, healthier life. So without further ado, I'm going to read this article here digging into this technology. This is from Maxwell Biosciences. Excuse me. A synthetic immune system, restoring immunity, repair tissues, extend health span. So infections drive almost every major cause of related decline. Maxwell technology was discovered using an artificial intelligence analysis of the proteomics of vulnerability in aging and incubated by a grant from the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, aka DARPA. There's scientific consensus that biological aging is driven by the weakening of the immune system, called immunosenescence. Immunosenescence. It's a long word. Look at that one. Immunosenescence. Maxwell's synthetic immune system technology may reverse aspects of immunosenescence and may be a key biodefense asset regional governments use to stop pandemics. So, we see the WHO coming out with these new protocols, the CDC approving the mRNA jab for children. They're going to be approving a synthetic immune system soon if these human clinical trials go well. So if you click that little button to learn more, extending health span. In 1923, average life expectancy was 54 years. In 2023, it is 74 years. By 2033, 120 years or more of healthy lifespan may be possible with Maxwell's Clarimer technology. That is what this synthetic immune system is called, Clarimer technology. Now, if you guys are if you're some finance guys out there, you may want to pay attention to these human clinical trials at Q1, because if they do go well, you may want to dump some money into this Maxwell Biosciences, because its stock could be going through the roof here pretty soon. So they did this goofy experiment where they attached an old mouse to a younger mouse, and they attached all the microcapillaries of the skin that are able to exchange blood between the two. And what they found actually was that this older mouse became younger. It had a healthier immune system, healthier heart, and it actually lived longer than some other counterpart mice that weren't involved in this experiment. So they studied these mice, and they're like, what the hell was going on that this older mouse was able to use this younger mouse's blood to kind of stay healthier and live a longer life. It was kind of weird. So what they figured out, something in blood creates health. I guess I'll read these parts. So on the first little graph here, they got the couple of mice attached together. by the hip. A strange experiment. It all began with a. Sorry, I can't read the screen. I'm struggling here because these words. The screen won't brighten and it's kind of pissing me off. A strange experiment. It all began with a seemingly miraculous study published in the prestigious scientific journal Nature, in which an old mouse and a young mouse are connected together so that their skin shares blood through their tiniest capillaries. This allows the mice to exchange only the smallest of blood molecules called peptides with each other. Guess what happens? The old mouse gets younger. The old mouse, there you have more pictures. The old mouse starts off with the typical signs of aging: high inflammation, weak antimicrobial immune function, weak apoptosis, slow stem cell recruitment, weak angiogenesis, weak skin, meaning wrinkles. Then, over a period of days, all the signs of aging reverse and the weak systems all become strong. This project was funded by DARPA, apparently, doing some crazy stuff over there in the U.S. government DOD labs. Maybe that's why you had to move them to Ukraine and China. How? The most compelling mystery of all. This question became our obsession. If aging, the creeping process of death, is in the blood, as the study seems to imply, then it's possible to solve this problem. This means we could restore health to not just in our elders, but to the chronically ill at any age. Solving this mystery is literally the holy grail of health sciences. We believe it a realistic possibility that we have solved it, or at least a portion of it. Maxwell Biosciences and DARPA. So they ran some artificial intelligence analysis of the blood. You know how AI, the domain system, they put the coronavirus sequence in there, and they're like, what therapeutics will cure coronavirus? And the artificial intelligence ran its R2D2 sound effects, and it spit out remdesivir, it spit out famotidine, it didn't spit out hydroxychloroquine and any of the shit that we actually needed that worked. It didn't do that, as a matter of fact, because it was cheap. But either way, they ran another AI simulation analysis of the mouse blood here. I'm just reading the little tidbits at the bottom. Got a little graph here showing you what they're doing. Blood peptides data collection. We gathered all the data we could find comparing old blood versus young blood, mouse and human, and added it into a computational database to try to identify factors in the blood that might be the solution, a safe and affordable drug candidate. This was a ton of work over 2 years, 2016 to 2018, and took a small army of interns just to enter the data, while database engineers work to optimize the computational processing. Could we potentially discover a universal medicine or the mythical fountain of youth? Question mark. So in this middle graph here, LL37 was discovered. I appreciate you guys sitting with me while I did my sound effects. I hope you enjoyed them as much as I did. LL37, also known as the human catholicidin, the human Catholic blood, antimicrobial peptide expressed via the human CAMP gene. So LL37 as a candidate blood factor. The analysis turned up dozens of interesting blood plasma peptides, but the one that really stood out was LL37. This delicate peptide disappears very quickly in human blood, so it was difficult to track. We saw signs of it everywhere, though. It helps young people form their bodies, regulates inflammations, strengthens key tissues. It's expressed everywhere, is perhaps the most important antimicrobial peptide and decreases with age. In fact, when it drops below a key level in sick people, it means nearly certain death. So as you get older, your LL37 drops. This is why you get all your wrinkles. This is why you get your cancers, your gray hairs. You get sick easily, and so on. They figured it out, ladies and gentlemen. It's the LL37. Here's a last little bit of graph of some of the work they did. LL37 and a bunch of other shit I'm not going to read. Gene expression analysis. Separately, we heard about a nutritional therapy that was helping with Alzheimer's dementia called MEND, or Bredesen protocol. We cataloged the gene expression associated with nutritional supplements used in that successful therapy. Confirming our earlier work, we saw LL37 expression is upregulated by healthy nutrition, exercise, and a strong gut microbiome. The well-known health span drivers of healthy aging. It seemed we had found our optimal candidate therapeutic to begin developing as a potential drug. Just a reminder, this is a cooperation between Maxwell Health Biosciences and DARPA. Entering human clinical trials soon. So in this next little section here, a synthetic chapter, I don't know if they're called chapters, if it's just a one pager with some pictures and some writing below it, but let's go chapter. A synthetic immune system. Strong apoptosis equals systemic healing. So they're saying the more LL37 you have, the faster you heal. Here we go. LL37 coordinates healing. Healing is a complex process, and LL37 is like the conductor for the healing orchestra. It coordinates almost every aspect of healing. And my eyes are getting terrible here. I need glasses. Can't read anymore. Can't look at my beautiful face in the screen either. It's the only reason I do this show. Healing is a complex process, and LL37 is like the conductor for the healing orchestra. It coordinates almost every aspect of healing, including killing viruses. I should inject some LL37 into my eyeballs. I might be able to see a little bit better tomorrow. Aspect of healing, including killing viruses, bacteria, and fungi. That's very important. It coordinates almost every aspect of healing, including killing viruses, bacteria, and fungi, all while directing new blood vessel growth, controlling inflammation, and inviting new stem cells to the region. Without enough LL37 to heal, aging happens. Signs of LL37 were also highly correlated to the mouse studies we observed in the literature and were confirmed in the studies we read about systemic and localized tissue healing in hospital patients. In fact, studies of the sepsis patients show that LL37 in the blood drops too far, that patient is likely to die. What if we could find a way to beef up something like LL37 in those patients to save their lives? A super drug, a possible super drug, but LL37 could be the perfect super drug able to help with healing all kinds of diseases, especially chronic disease and life-threatening infections. However, LL37 disappears quickly, cut apart, or cleaved in quotation marks by protease enzymes produced by microbes, viruses, and your own body. Sad face. Our co-founder invented a way to stabilize it and make it even safer using a smaller, stable molecule structure. He invented a synthetic version. So we are developing a new technology platform we named the Clarimer Drug Discovery Platform. I wonder what the Clarimer names, why it's named the Clarimer. McClung is the guy's last name, so I don't know. Drug discovery platform that mimics LL37 as a stable and predictable small molecule, and it is even better than LL37 at fighting infection we know of. A potential replacement for almost all antibiotics, antifungals, and antivirals, and it may help with healthy aging as well. Boom! It's a miracle drug, ladies and gentlemen. It'll kill all the bad shit in your body that you don't want there. And it makes you look young. It's like Botox, but without the fat face. You just gotta have healthy skin, healthy boobs, healthy butts. The Clarimer drug platform. Karma Doc says, this seems like an episode of Black Murder. I believe she meant mirror. Black Mirror. It might, especially when the human clinical trials would go well, and they start dropping this shit on mainstream media outlets soon. You're gonna see like Today Show anchors getting Clarimer injections. Next thing you know, Mitt Romney is going to be running for office again. I got this LL37 Clarimer drug, and I'm running for office again because I need more money. Yeah, where am I at? Ramble over. Okay, the Clarimer drug. I don't even think I started this one. The Clarimer drug platform. We benefited from a DARPA-funded project called a synthetic immune system. Creative name, DARPA. Can it come up with something better than that? Like Clarimer? Bro. Is this because there's a writer's strike in Hollywood? You guys couldn't come up with better shit than Clarimer and a synthetic immune system? You got to hide your stuff a little bit more. You can't put articles like this on the internet because I'm going to read them and fucking cut you by the knees before you even can release it to the public. All right. A synthetic immune system, and Clarimers are something like that. So the Clarimers are just like DARPA's synthetic immune system. They are stable, small molecule mimics of LL37 because they have a nitrogen-centric structure, which is highly biostable and makes highly predictable drug candidates, as the horizontal blue line on the top of the image shows. Guys, the blue line says so. Follow the if you go to the doctor's office and they don't have a goddamn blue line telling you what drugs to take, telling you which ones are stable, how does he know? How does he know which one to take? Follow the blue line. Andy, you're a goddamn idiot. I know. This futuristic technology gives us the stability and reduced risk profile characteristic of a typical small molecule, with many of the broad spectrum anti-inflammatory healing properties of the natural LL37 immune system peptides. Something like a synthetic immune system. Are you acting like you just came up with that? DARPA created that. It's called a synthetic immune system. It was a project funded by DARPA. God, these scientists. Truly, next, I might be as bad as at reading as they are writing. Truly, next generation anti-infectives potentially capable of saving millions of lives. Not just in the next pandemic, but right now. They're not even going to wait for a pandemic to release this shit. They're doing it now. Why won't my screen shrink? Human trials coming soon. So this drug is called MXB-22,510. and it accurately mimics LL37 and is incredibly broad spectrum versus many pathogens and also has no adverse effect on the human gut microbiome. We look forward to moving into human trials in 2024. So this thing does nothing but good. It sounds too good to be true, if you ask me. This drug's just going to kill all the diseases, bacteria, viruses, and funguses you don't want in your body. And it's just going to leave all your good stuff alone. I call phooey. They're moving into human clinical trials in 2024. So it kills these are the pathogens types here that, as you can see on the screen. Gets into the bacterias, the strep throats. What else is in there? Tuberculosis, pneumonia. What else it get into? It gets in. It kills all your funguses. It gets into your Zika viruses, your herpes, your HSV, and yes, it does work on SARS as well, according to this man. J. Scotch McClure, CEO and founder. I got a weird little video I was going to play with this guy in it just because I wanted to show you. The guy who invented synthetic biology looks like a goddamn synthetic alien. And it's kind of scary. I got to figure out how to share my screen here. I don't know why it's not working. Here we go. So look at this dude. This is your J. Scotch McClure. This is a guy who is helping create your synthetic immune system. And look at him. He looks like one of those synthetic dummies that are like sitting in the test cars when they run them into walls. You know, the ones in like the red jumpsuits. This guy is the one who's creating our synthetic immune system. Here, I'm just going to play a little bit. I'm not going to play this whole thing, just a little bit, but here we go.
To get a prescription for it. Then there's also multiple prescribed medications.
No. I want you to cure it.
And topical.
Can you cure it? Are you going to be a part of the cure?
We don't know if we would be able to cure something until we go through human trials. And so you have to evaluate the risk up front. And so what we decided to do was we showed that we can, knock out a cold sore really quickly. But there's a lot of drugs that can do that. So there's no drugs that can knock out a chronic rhinosinusitis. The only approved drugs are anti-inflammatory in nature.
Yeah, thank you very much. How many people are full-time at your company?
13.
That's awesome. Thank you.
13 people creating their synthetic immune system.
From opportunistic fungal infections in the upper respiratory tract because of their immune system.
Either way, you get the point. The guy's a synthetic robot. Looks like he's wearing silicone for a face. He's creating a synthetic immune system with his company Maxwell Biosciences and DARPA. And Michael Callahan was head of the synthetic biology department within DARPA during his little tenure there, and we're just seeing some of his work being continued on even after he's gone. And they're saying they don't need a pandemic to release this drug because it's getting into human clinical trials and it will be able to cure everything. And it has its anti-aging properties as well. So be on the lookout for Maxwell Health's new MXB drug candidate. And if you are an investor, pay attention. Q1, Maxwell Health Biosciences. You may make some extra money off of them. We may have Nancy Pelosi, Mitt Romney, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Joe Biden around a lot more if they start taking this guy's peptide drug. Synthetic peptide drug. that'd be a real disappointment, actually, if that happened. All right, what else do we got here? I looked up you told me to look up Health Anonymous, Karma Doc. I'm not sure what Health Anonymous is. I did look it up. There's some Emotional Health Anonymous. I don't know what you gotta put a link in the chat and I'll pull it up for you. Karma Doc. By the way, Karma Doc, Tyrone and I are going to be we're going to be reworking some of the neighborhood news studio aspects of things. We're going to get it started again. We're going to be rebuilding the team and getting some broadcasts going as well. So look forward to working with Karmadoc and same company. Karmadoc and Tyrone here pretty soon. I know Norman Smith and Wendy. Everyone will be involved here. That's in the chat. And I appreciate you guys always with your continued support. So I do have one little video here I'm going to play here. I'm not going to dig too much more into I'm not going to dig any more into the sciencey part. But here's our boy. This guy is actually becoming my favorite politician besides Donald Trump. But this guy, Matt Gaetz, I haven't done like a whole lot of research into him, but all I know is he doesn't seem like he's one of those Rhino Republicans. He doesn't seem like he's one of those Bush Republicans, the old guard Republicans. No, he seems like one of those new guys, that Mitt Romney is talking about. Like, let some new blood get in here. Like, he is already here. But I just like the fact that, when Kevin McCarthy was getting elected to Speaker of the House, the Matt Gaetz here like held his feet to the fire and held him accountable and made sure he like had some demands, because it was a close vote, and Matt Gaetz's his vote was needed, and he had a small group of people that kind of were following his lead, and they were not voting for Kevin McCarthy unless he looked into Joe Biden and Hunter Biden's dealings in Ukraine's, the January 6th committee, and some other things as well. And he was like, I will not sign this thing unless you like promise me that you will start taking care of this shit. And McCarthy's like, I'll promise. I swear to God. I'll put my hand on the Bible. I'll do it. And then what happens? Some more shit hits the news cycle. We all look the other way. The NFL season starts. Aaron Rodgers gets hurt. No one knows what's going on in politics anymore. Actually, that's not true. What has happened is actually Trump has gotten indicted twice, once in New York, once in Georgia, for some bullshit, bogus claims. And our president, Joe Biden, and his son, Hunter Biden, has kind of skirted right on by underneath everyone's noses with no committees being formed, no one looking into the Bidens at all. So Matt Gaetz came out yesterday and started demanding that Kevin McCarthy start following through on his promises, or else he's going to get removed as House Speaker. So here's a little 5-minute clip of Matt Gaetz that I'm going to play real quickly becoming one of my favorite politicians. But when I mean favorite politicians, I don't like any of them. like favorite is like, I shouldn't even use that word. It's like picking between eating a shit sandwich or a salad. It's like, I guess my favorite's the salad. I'd probably rather eat the shit sandwich some days. Those greens get gross sometimes. So yeah, here we go. Matt Gaetz. Enough of my rambling.
On this very floor in January, the whole world witnessed a historic contest for House Speaker. I rise today to serve notice. Mr. Speaker, you are out of compliance with the agreement that allowed you to assume this role. The path forward for the House of Representatives is to either bring you into immediate total compliance or remove you pursuant to a motion to vacate the chair. We have had no vote on term limits or on balanced budgets as the agreement demanded and required. There's been no full release of the January 6 tapes as you promised. There has been insufficient accountability for the Biden crime family. And instead of cutting spending to raise the debt limit, you relied on budgetary gimmicks and rescissions so that you ultimately ended up serving as the valet to underwrite Biden's debt and advance his spending agenda. Mr. Speaker, you boasted in January that we would use the power of the subpoena and the power of the purse. But here we are 8 months later, and we haven't even sent the first subpoena to Hunter Biden. That's how you know that the rushed and somewhat rattled performance you just saw from the speaker isn't real. At this point, during Democrat control over the House of Representatives, they had already brought in Don Jr. 3 times. And we haven't even sent the first subpoena to Hunter Biden. Power of the subpoena and power of the purse. Only thing the 118th Congress is known for at this point is electing Kevin McCarthy speaker and underwriting Biden's debt. And unfortunately, there's only one of those things we can remediate at this time. Power of the purse. Our leadership right now is asking us to vote for a continuing resolution.
I love it when when people do that, when they shit on the point, power of the purse. Shit on the little point in the middle of their speech. I love it when people do that.
A vote for a continuing resolution is a vote to continue the Green New Deal, a vote to continue inflationary spending, and in the most troubling of fashions, a vote for a continuing resolution is a vote to continue the election interference of Jack Smith. Mr. Speaker, we told you how to use the power of the purse. Individual, single subject spending bills that would allow us to have specific review, programmatic analysis, and that would allow us to zero out the salaries of the bureaucrats who have broken bad, targeted President Trump, or cut sweetheart deals for Hunter Biden. September 30th is rapidly approaching, and you have not put us in a position to succeed. There is no way to pass all the individual appropriations bills now. And it's not like we didn't know when September 30th was going to show up on the calendar. I must be better. You must be better. And this House must be better, for it is the last best hope for tens of millions of Republicans. We demand real oversight against this weaponized government. Just look at the bribery. If tens of millions of dollars flowing from foreign corrupt people into the bank accounts of the Biden family wasn't enough for actual impeachment, why were we even looking? Joe Biden deserves impeachment for converting the vice presidency into an ATM machine for virtually his entire family. We all see it. We all know it. Now, moments ago, Speaker McCarthy endorsed an impeachment inquiry. This is a baby step following weeks of pressure from House conservatives to do more. We must move faster. Now, I will concede that the votes I have called for will likely fail: term limits, balanced budgets, maybe even impeachment. I am prepared for that eventuality, because at least if we take votes, the American people get to see who's fighting for them and who's willing to tolerate more corruption and business as usual. Mr. Speaker, dust off our written January agreement. You have a copy. Reflect on the spirit of that agreement and build on the start that we had moments ago. Begin to comply. No continuing resolutions, individual spending bills or bust, votes on balanced budgets and term limits, subpoenas for Hunter Biden and the members of the Biden family who've been grifting off of this country, and the impeachment for Joe Biden that he so richly deserves. Do these things or face a motion to vacate the chair. And let me alert the country, a motion to vacate might not pass at first, but it might before the 15th vote. And if Democrats bail out McCarthy, as they may do, then I will lead the resistance to this uniparty and the Biden, McCarthy, Jeffries government that they are attempting to build. I know that Washington isn't a town where people are known for keeping their word. Well, Speaker McCarthy, I'm here to hold you to yours. I yield back.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And he did mention that because McCarthy's feet were being held to the fire that they were going to start an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. Now, I actually don't know if this is a good thing or not. I don't know if it would be better to have Kamala running the show than Biden, the cackling hyena. God, at least Biden's like a professional corrupt politician. You know, he knows what he's doing. He is corrupt, but he's at least a professional. Kamala, he's just a 2-cent whore. And somehow you're the vice president of the United States. Unbelievable. Only in America, the American dream lives. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for my show this evening. Sorry for being real stumbly in the beginning, you know. Just roll back in after having another house showing 2 today. Going through all the scramble of cleaning, getting everything ready, and it was very last second. So I apologize about my mind just kind of being a little foggy in the beginning. You know, trying to get my notes down and get my videos, my articles down, and what I was going to do. And thanks for bearing with me if you stuck with it while I was stumbling and mumbling away. But I will be back Friday. Karma Doc, I am gonna give you a call here probably tomorrow afternoon. I would actually like you to be on the show to dig in some of the work that you look to be doing here with Neighborhood News Studio taking over the reins. So we look to hear from you on Live with Andy, and I look forward to working with you here pretty soon. And yeah, make sure if you're an investor, Maxwell Biosciences, their LL37 replica peptide. Human trials coming our way next year. If you invest now, you might have some extra money in your pocket for when the depression hits. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go eat dinner. Have a good night.